Well, hello there. Come closer. I don't bite. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and the history of my family. My name is Charles, and I'm 172 years old. That probably is why I'm walking so slow these days. My father and my mother came from England, my father being named Thomas and my mother Lucy. And when they came to the United States, they settled in a little town. Perhaps you heard of it, Watertown in Jefferson County, somewhere up that way, I believe, in upstate New York. My father was an interesting man. He was a dentist, a preacher, a prohibitionist, an abolitionist. After a bit, my parents moved all 9 of us to Vineland, New Jersey, where my father was made, listen to this, the communion steward in his Methodist church. Being a prohibitionist, he refused to serve wine, and the church finally conceded and let him come up with a symbolic substitute. So in 1859, my father came up with an idea. He and I made a dozen bottles of what we called the juice of the grape. We did it right in our own kitchen, and I was only about 17 years of age. We did this for about 20 years, and the church used this juice to replace the communion wine. We called it the unfermented wine. This grape that my father used was the same that Ephraim Bull had been developing back in the 1850s in Concord, Mass., which of course that's where we get the name for this grape around here, the Concord grape. About the same time, a man named Louis Pasteur, a Frenchman, developed the process of what he called pasteurization, and this helped us make our grape juice last longer so we could bottle it safely. As time went by, my father understood that grape juice could be produced and used year-round, and many churches could use the grape on a regular basis to replace their sacramental wine. Father dreamt that this juice would be a huge success. Well, it didn't take off. He grew very impatient and turned out that he gave the business to me. I was very much interested in trying to develop it further. It took a lot of hard work, and Father provided some necessary capital to help it grow. We were small at first. We only pressed a few tons and had a small group of part-time helpers. I sent out advertisements all over the place, all the churches and organizations in the area, all the while I was studying to be a dentist under my older brother. After working the business for several years, I developed the name for the product. Ready? It was called grape juice instead of unfermented wine in 1892. I left dentistry behind after about 20 years and gave my practice to my sister Emma. Perhaps you met Emma somewhere along the way. She likes to call me Charlie. Well, in 1893, I had an idea to introduce my juice at the Chicago World's Fair. I had a little booth and sold the juice for 5 cents a cup. That got a lot of people's attention, so I went to other conventions and parties and world fairs and country fairs. Over time, I studied the business, but I decided it was time that we do things a little different, do it closer to where the grapes would grow. There was too much shipping here and loading there and unloading and unloading and uploading and on and on and on. And we had to simplify things, be more cost effective, be more efficient. So in July 1897, my father and I came to Western New York for a visit. And after looking at various locations, we determined Westfield was the place. It had everything we were looking for, and Lake Erie was beautiful to behold. There was a gentleman named Elisha J. had propagated grapes earlier on along the shore, and this was the perfect location to move our business. We chose the corners of North Portage and Nickel Plate Roads, just somewhere over that way, to build our first plant. From there, we expanded, and I guess you'd say the rest is history. You know, I think that building is still here. If you look very carefully, it's a large brick building near a bridge, and it says 1897. Well, any guess what I called the company? No? Well, we called it Welch's Grape Juice Company. Ever hear of it? I'm told it's still pretty popular these days. Those were exciting times back then, and America was on the move. Luckily for the company, the country went into a period of prohibition, no drinking, and grape juice became very popular. Over the years, we got into jams and jellies and other juices, and from what I can tell, the company is still making a variety of other new products. I had a lot of other interests, of course, and I believed in giving back and participating in community service. My business had taken off so well that it allowed me and my family to have a lovely home and estate on the other side of Lake Chautauqua, and we called it Chedwell. Ever heard of it? And we had a nice winter retreat in Florida as well, so we could get away from the harsh winters here. Well, apparently, either I was still very well liked or no one else had wanted the job, but I was elected 6 times as the mayor of Westfield. And then the Prohibition Party talked me into running for lieutenant governor of New York State in 1914. I got 44,000 votes and lost. Then in 1916, the same party, the Prohibition Party, ran me for governor of New York State. I got 22,000 votes that time and lost. Well, I gotta go now. So also remember, drink your Welch's juice. It's good for you. Goodbye.